I was 26 years old, sitting at my parents' dining table, when my mother looked me dead in the eye and called me a leech. A leech. Her own daughter. My siblings nodded along like I was some kind of charity case they'd been carrying for years. They had no idea that at that exact moment, literally, as she was saying those words, my phone was buzzing in my pocket with an email that would change everything. A $4.6 million contract with Nord Stream, but I didn't say a word. I just smiled, stood up, and walked out. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't what you say, it's what you become. Stick around. Look, this is going to be a wild ride, family drama, betrayal, and the kind of vindication that honestly still gives me chills. Before we dive in, if you love stories about proving people wrong and standing your ground, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this. Trust me, you're going to want to hear how this ends. Okay, so let me take you back to where it all started. My name is Allison Brooks, and I'm from Miami. Growing up, my family was what you'd call traditionally successful. My dad ran a commercial real estate firm. My mom was a corporate attorney. They had this very specific idea of what success looked like. And spoiler alert, didn't include sketching dresses in a notebook. I have two siblings. My older sister, Victoria, let's call her the golden child, is a corporate consultant who practically prints money. She graduated top of her class from Yale, married a hedge fund manager, and has this pristine life that my parents love to brag about at every opportunity. Then there's my brother, Marcus, the heir apparent, who works in finance. And somehow managed to buy his first condo at 23, with my parents' help, though they'll never admit that part. And then, there was me. The baby. The disappointment. The one who wanted to make clothes. I remember being 8 years old, cutting up one of my old t-shirts and sewing it back together into this little crop top. I was so proud. I ran downstairs to show my mom, and you know what she said? She didn't even look up from her laptop. She just said, "Allison, stop making a mess. That's not a real skill." That moment stuck with me. Not a real skill. By the time I was 12, I was sketching constantly. I'd fill entire notebooks with designs of ninggowns, streetwear, avant-garde pieces I didn't even have names for. I'd hide them under my bed because I knew what would happen if anyone found them. And one day, Marcus did. He barged into my room looking for something, found my sketchbook, and immediately started laughing. "Mom, Dad, come look at this," he shouted down the hallway. My stomach dropped. I tried to grab the book from him, but he held it over my head, flipping through the pages like it was some kind of joke. My parents came in, and I'll never forget the look on my dad's face. Not anger, not even disappointment. Just dismissal. "Allison," he said, sighing like I'd just told him I wanted to be a professional finger painter. "This is cute, but you need to focus on school. Real careers, not fantasies." Victoria, who had been passing by, peeked in and smirked. "Are you seriously still doing this? Allison, you're not going to be the next Vera Wang. You need to be realistic." I was 12, and my own family made me feel like my dreams were a punchline. But here's the thing, I didn't stop. I couldn't. Fashion wasn't just something I liked. It was the only thing that made sense to me. When I was designing, I felt alive. I felt like I had a voice. So I kept going, in secret. I started watching every fashion documentary I could find. I'd stay up until 2 in the morning watching runway shows on YouTube, studying the way fabric moved, the way designers constructed garments. I taught myself pattern making from library books. My fingers were constantly covered in pinpricks, from hand sewing, because I couldn't afford a proper machine yet. There was this one time, I must have been 14, when I saved up 3 months of allowance to buy this beautiful emerald silk from a fabric store downtown. I told my parents I was going to the library. Instead, I took 2 buses to the design district and spent an hour just touching fabrics, feeling the weight of different materials, learning their names: Charmeuse, Georgette, Duchess, Satin. The woman who owned the shop, Mrs. Chen, noticed me. "You have good taste," she said, watching me examine a bolt of Italian wool. "I want to be a designer," I blurted out. I don't know why I told her. Maybe because she was a stranger. Maybe because she actually looked at me like I mattered. She smiled. "Then you will be. Never let anyone tell you otherwise." I bought that emerald silk and made a simple A-line dress. It wasn't perfect, the hem was slightly uneven, and I'd struggled with When I graduated high school, the fight really began. I told my parents I wanted to go to the Miami International University of Art and Design. It was one of the best fashion schools in the country, and I'd been accepted with a partial scholarship. My dad lost it. I mean, he actually yelled, "Absolutely not. I'm not paying for you to play dress-up for 4 years. If you want to go to college, you'll major in business or law. Something real." "But Dad, I got a scholarship." I said. "No, Allison. This conversation is over." My mom backed him up. "Of course. We're not being cruel, sweetheart. We're being practical. You'll thank us later. Look at Victoria, she listened to us. And now she's successful." Victoria was visiting that weekend, and chimed in from the living room. "I mean, she's right, Allie. Fashion school. That's basically a degree in unemployment. I have friends who went to Parsons and Fit, and they're all working retail now. Is that what you want? No, but then be smart. Get a business degree. You can always do fashion as a side thing." A side thing. Like it was a hobby. Like it wasn't the only thing I'd ever been good at, the only thing that made me feel like myself. I felt my throat tighten, but I refused to cry in front of them. I just nodded and went upstairs. That night, I made a decision. If they wouldn't help me, I'd do it myself. I got a job waitressing at a beachside restaurant called Mangoes. It was loud, chaotic, and the tourists were often rude, but the tips were decent. Then I picked up weekend shifts at a boutique in South Beach. Then I started doing freelance alterations for a dry cleaner in Coral Gables. I worked 70-hour weeks. I was exhausted, constantly running on 4 hours of sleep and cheap coffee, but I saved every penny. My roommate freshman year, Jessica, was the first person who really understood. She was studying graphic design, and her family was the same way, and supportive, dismissive. We'd stay up late working on our projects, fueling ourselves with ramen and dreams. "You know what the worst part is?" she said one night, hunched over her laptop. "It's not that they don't believe in us. It's that they don't even try." "Exactly," I said, pinning a muslin to my dress form. "It's like, would it kill them to just say good job once?" "My mom told me graphic design is just making posters," Jessica said, laughing bitterly. Like I'm in kindergarten with safety scissors. We became each other's support system. When I doubted myself, she'd remind me why I started. When she wanted to quit, I'd drag her to coffee and make her remember her goals. I put myself through fashion school. Every single dollar of tuition. My parents didn't contribute a cent. And you know what? They never once asked how I was managing it. Not once. Christmas breaks were the worst. I'd come home for a few days, and it was like walking into enemy territory. Every conversation was a minefield. "So, Allison," my aunt would say at Christmas dinner, What are you studying again? Before I could answer, my dad would jump in. Fashion design. It all came to a head 6 months ago. I was 26, working as a junior designer for a small boutique label called Azul, while freelancing on the side. I was barely scraping by, sure, but I was doing what I loved. I'd been working on my own collection for over a year, bold architectural pieces inspired by Miami's Art Deco history. The vibrant colors of Little Havana, the contrast between old and new. I'd poured everything into it, every spare dollar, every free hour, my entire soul. Around that time, Ellen called me into her office. She'd been consulting for various brands since leaving Marc Jacobs, and she still taught occasionally. "Allison, sit down. I want to talk to you about something." My stomach dropped. "I've been watching your progress," she said. "Your collection is strong. Really strong. There's this initiative, Nordstrom's Emerging Designer Program. They're looking for fresh voices, new perspectives. The contract is substantial, and the exposure is incredible. I think you should submit." My heart started racing. "Ellen, that's huge. Those kinds of opportunities go to people from Parsons, from FIT, from people with talent." She slid a folder across her desk. "Here's the application. The deadline is in 2 weeks. I've already written you a letter of recommendation. Allison, I don't waste my time on mediocre designers. You're not mediocre. You're exceptional." The Nordstrom Emerging Designer Program. It was the kind of opportunity people spent years hoping for. And Ellen thought I was ready. I spent the next 2 weeks perfecting my submission. Photos of my collection, sketches, a detailed lookbook, a brand statement. I must have rewritten my artist statement 50 times. Natalie, my best friend from fashion school, who I'd reconnected with the year before, helped me edit everything. "This is it, Allie," she said, reviewing my application for the 10th time. "This is your shot, and you're ready. What if I'm not?" I submitted the application on a Tuesday at 11:53 p.m., 7 minutes before the deadline. Then I tried not to think about it. Tried not to check my email every 5 minutes. Tried not to imagine what it would feel like to hear yes or no. Then my mom called. It wasn't a request, it was a command. Still wanted them to see me. So I said yes. Saturday came. I showed up at 6 on the dot, wearing a simple black dress I'd made myself, and a stated elegant. The house smelled like my mom's famous roast chicken. And I could hear Marcus and Victoria's voices in the dining room, laughing about something. I took a deep breath and walked in. She was wearing a Chanel blazer, because of course she was. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup was perfect. She looked like she'd stepped out of a corporate catalog. "Hi, Vic," I said, forcing a smile. He was wearing a button-down that probably cost more than my rent. My parents were already seated at the head of the table. My dad nodded at me, his expression neutral. My mom gave me this tight smile, the kind that didn't reach her eyes, the kind that said she'd already decided this dinner was going to be about fixing me. We sat down, and for the first 10 minutes, it was fine. Small talk, weather, Victoria's latest promotion, she'd made partner at her consulting firm. Marcus's new car, a Tesla, because of course, my dad's latest real estate deal. My mom's case that had just settled. I stayed quiet, pushing food around my plate, waiting for the inevitable. Then my dad cleared his throat. My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. That "we've discussed you like a problem that needs solving" tone. "We're concerned," my mom said, setting down her fork and folding her hands in front of her like she was about to deliver a verdict. "You're 26 years old, and you're still floundering." "I'm not floundering," I said, my voice tight. "I'm building a career." Victoria scoffed, actually scoffed, like I'd just said something absurd. Allison, come on. You work at a boutique that no one's ever heard of. You live in a studio apartment in Wynwood that's probably the size of my closet. You drive a car that's older than you are. It is working, I said, my hands clenching under the table. I'm happy. I'm doing what I love. And doing what you love is a luxury you can't afford. Mom and Dad aren't going to be around forever to bail you out. I've never asked them for money. I shot back, my voice rising. Not once. I've paid for everything myself. That's not the point, my mom interrupted, her voice sharpening. The point is that you're wasting your potential. You could go back to school, get an MBA, work for a real company, do something with your life. Allison, we're not trying to hurt you. We're trying to help you. But you're being stubborn, childish even. You've been chasing this dream for 10 years, and what do you have to show for it? That word, childish, it hit me like a slap. We've been supportive for years. We let you chase this dream, even though we knew it wouldn't work out. But at some point, you have to face reality. The woman who was supposed to love me unconditionally. Victoria looked uncomfortable for half a second, but she didn't say anything. She just looked down at her plate. Marcus avoided my eyes. My dad just nodded, like she'd said something perfectly reasonable. That's what you think of me. It's time to grow up. My hands were shaking so badly I almost couldn't pull it out. 3 emails. The third. Subject. Congratulations partnership, offer. My heart stopped. I opened it, my vision tunneling, my hands trembling so hard I could barely read the words. Dear Ms. Brooks, we are thrilled to inform you that your collection has been selected for our Emerging Designers Spotlight. After careful review by our panel, we believe your unique vision and exceptional craftsmanship align perfectly with our commitment to supporting innovative new talent. We would like to offer you an exclusive contract to design a capsule collection for Nordstrom, valued at $4.6 million over 2 years, with option for renewal. I read it 3 times. 4, 5. My vision blurred with tears I refused to let fall. $4.6 million. I looked up slowly. My mom was still talking, saying something about tough love and reality checks and how I needed to stop being so sensitive. Victoria was nodding along. Marcus was back on his phone, already bored with the conversation. None of them noticed I was barely breathing. And that's why we think you should seriously consider going back to school, my mom concluded. It's not too late to turn this around. I stood up. Allison, where are you going? My mom snapped, her voice sharp with irritation. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I smiled. Not a fake smile, not a forced smile. A real one. The kind that comes from a place so deep and true that nothing can touch it. You know what, Mom, you're absolutely right. It's time I faced reality. Finally, Victoria muttered. Good, my dad said, relief in his voice. We can help you look at programs. No, I interrupted, my voice calm and steady. You misunderstand. The reality is that I just got offered a $4.6 million contract with Nordstrom. So you're right. I'm done being a leech. As of about 3 minutes ago, I became more successful than any of you. The room went dead silent. My mom's face went pale. Victoria's mouth actually fell open. Marcus's phone clattered onto the table. My dad just stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. What? My mom whispered. You heard me. Nordstrom. $4.6 million. They want my collection, my designs. The ones you've spent 10 years telling me were worthless. Allison, that's not. My dad started. Yes, it is. That's exactly what you've been saying. For years, And you know what? I'm done. I'm done begging for your approval. I'm done hoping you'll see me. Because I finally see myself. And I see exactly what you are. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. Allison. My mom called after me, her voice panicked now. Wait. We need to talk about this. I turned back one last time. No, we don't. Enjoy your dinner, and I walked out. I didn't slam the door, I didn't yell. I didn't give them the satisfaction. I just left. Because I didn't need to say anything else. They'd said enough for all of us. The next morning, I woke up in my tiny Wynwood studio, stared at the Nordstrom email on my phone, and burst into tears. Happy tears, terrified tears, relieved tears, angry tears. Tears I'd been holding back for 26 years. All of it came pouring out. I called Ellen first. I got it, I said, my voice shaking so badly I could barely form words. Ellen, I got the Nordstrom deal. She screamed. Literally screamed. I had to pull the phone away from my ear. I knew Allison, I knew you had it in you. Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. We need to celebrate, we need to know. Wait, we need to get to work. When's the showcase? 3 months. The Miami Fashion Expo. It's the closing show.
Perfect.
Allison, this is going to be the best debut anyone's ever seen. I promise you that. We're going to blow them away. Then I called Natalie. Natalie Kim, my best friend since fashion school, the only person outside of Ellen who had believed in me from day one. She's a jewelry designer, and we'd been supporting each other through the chaos of trying to make it in this industry for years. Nat, you're not going to believe this. Try me. I told her everything. The dinner, the leech comment, the email, the contract. There was a long pause. Then Allison, oh my God, we're going out, right now. I'm buying you the most expensive margarita in Miami, and you're going to tell me every single detail. And then we're going to plan how you're going to absolutely destroy at that expo. We met at this little bar in Brickell, and I told her everything, every horrible word my family had said, the look on their faces when I told them about Nordstrom, the way my mom's voice had gone panicky when I walked out. Natalie's face went dark. She called you a leech. Are you kidding me? After everything you've accomplished on your own. I wish I was kidding. Allison, listen to me. She grabbed both my hands across the table, her grip fierce. Your family has spent your entire life trying to make you feel small because your dreams scared them. You were willing to risk everything for something you believed in, and they couldn't handle it. They couldn't control you, so they tried to break you, but they didn't. You did this. On your own, and now you get to show them and everyone else exactly who you are. I felt my throat tighten. What if I mess this up? What if I'm not ready? What if, Allison? Stop. You've already proven yourself. Nordstrom doesn't give contracts to people who aren't ready. The hard part's over. Now you just get to create. And I'm going to be right there with you. We're going to make pieces that complement your collection. We're going to turn heads. We're going to make history. Over the next 3 months, I lived and breathed that collection. Ellen helped me refine every single piece, adjusting proportions, perfecting construction techniques, sourcing the best materials. Natalie designed custom jewelry to complement each look, bold geometric pieces that echoed the architectural elements in my designs. I worked 16-hour days, fueled by coffee, adrenaline, and the memory of my mother's voice calling me a leech. Every time I wanted to quit, every time the self-doubt crept in, I'd remember that moment. And I'd keep going. I didn't tell my family anything. I didn't post about it on social media. I went completely dark online. Let them think I was still floundering. Let them think I'd gone home to cry and give up. The truth was so much better. The Miami Fashion Expo was held at the Perez Art Museum. It's this massive event. Buyers, influencers, press from all over the world. Vogue sends people, Harper's Bazaar, WWD. It's the kind of event that can make or break a career. My show was scheduled for the closing slot on the final night, the best slot, the most pressure. The week before, I barely slept. I was fitting models, making last-minute adjustments, coordinating with the production team, losing my mind over lighting and music, and 1,000 tiny details that felt monumentally important. Ellen kept me grounded. Allison, breathe. You've done the work. Now trust it. What if they hate it? They won't, but what if? They won't. Your collection is stunning. You know it is. The night of the show, I was a wreck. Backstage was chaos, models getting dressed, makeup artists rushing around, someone's heel breaking and needing emergency repair. I was pacing, my hands shaking so badly I couldn't pin a hem. Ellen grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to look at her. Allison, breathe. You've got this. What if I don't? What if this is a disaster? What if then you pick yourself up and try again? But that's not going to happen. Do you know why? Because you're talented, you're prepared, and you're ready. So get out of your head and trust yourself. Natalie appeared with a bottle of water and a fierce look that I knew meant business. Allie, I've seen your pieces. I've watched you work. I've seen the way people react to your designs. You're about to close this show, and people are going to lose their minds. So stop spiraling and trust yourself. I nodded, swallowing hard, trying to believe them. The lights dimmed. The music started, a deep, pulsing electronic beat that I'd spent weeks selecting. My heart was hammering so hard I thought everyone could hear it. The first model walked out in my opening look, a structured blazer in burnt orange with exaggerated shoulders and hand-painted palm fronds along the lapels, paired with wide-leg trousers in a complementary coral. Bold, confident, unapologetic. I held my breath, the crowd murmured. Cameras flashed like lightning. The second look. A wrap dress in deep turquoise with geometric cutouts that revealed hints of skin, architectural, and sensual at the same time. More murmurs, more flashes. One by one, the models walked. Bold colors, burnt orange, deep turquoise, hot pink, emerald green, sharp, architectural lines, unexpected details. Every piece told a story. Miami's vibrancy, its resilience, its refusal to be ignored or diminished. I could feel the energy in the room building. People were leaning forward in their seats. Phones were out, recording. I could hear whispers, exclamations, and then the finale look. A floor-length gown, in iridescent teal, with a sculpted bodice that looked like ocean waves frozen in silk. The skirt moved like water, catching the light with every step. It was the piece I'd spent 6 months perfecting. The one I'd sewn and resewn until my fingers bled. The one that represented everything I'd fought for. The model, a stunning woman named Kira, who I'd specifically chosen for the finale, paused at the end of the runway. The spotlight hit her. The dress shimmered like the ocean at sunrise. The room went completely silent. For 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours. Nobody moved. Then they erupted. Applause, cheers. People stood. I could see buyers frantically typing on their phones. Fashion editors scribbling notes. Photographers pushing forward to get better shots. Ellen grabbed my arm. That's your cue. Go take your bow. I stepped out onto the runway, my legs shaking, my vision blurry with tears I was trying desperately to hold back. The applause got louder. Kira took my hand and walked back down the runway with me. The other models joined us, forming a line. I looked out at the crowd, all these people, standing, applauding from my work, and I felt something break open inside me. Not break apart, break open. Like I'd been holding myself so tightly for so long, and I could finally let go. Ellen was crying in the front row. Natalie was screaming, jumping up and down like we'd just won the lottery. I took my bow, my hand over my heart, and for the first time in my entire life, I felt seen. But then, as I looked toward the back of the room, I saw them. My family, my mom, dad, Victoria, and Marcus. All four of them, standing near the entrance, their faces pale and stunned. They looked like they'd seen a ghost. Or maybe like they'd finally seen me for the first time and didn't recognize what they were looking at. My stomach dropped. What were they doing here? How did they even know about this? But I didn't have time to process it. The moment I stepped backstage, I was swarmed. Buyers from Neiman Marcus and Saks. A journalist from Vogue asking for an interview. Someone from Harper's Bazaar wanting to shoot my collection for their next issue. A producer asking if I'd be interested in a documentary. It was overwhelming and exhilarating and terrifying all at once. I was shaking hands, smiling, answering questions about my inspiration, my process, my vision. Ellen stayed by my side, helping me navigate, making sure I didn't agree to anything without reading contracts first. Allison, that was extraordinary, one buyer said. We'd love to discuss carrying your line in our stores. The construction is flawless, another person said. Who taught you these techniques? I taught myself, I said, and I saw the surprise on their faces. From library books and YouTube videos and trial and error, that made them even more interested. For an hour, maybe more, I was caught in this whirlwind. Every time I turned around, someone else wanted to talk to me, to get my card, to schedule a meeting. And the whole time, I could see my family hovering at the edge of the crowd, waiting. Finally, when the crowd thinned, they approached. My mom stepped forward first, her expression carefully neutral. Like she was trying to control a situation that had already spiraled completely out of her control. Allison, that was incredible. I didn't say anything. I just looked at her, waiting. Victoria tried next, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Seriously, Allie, I had no idea you were this talented. That collection was amazing. Like, genuinely, amazing. Marcus nodded, his hands shoved in his pockets. Yeah, this is huge. Congratulations, really. My dad cleared his throat, stepping forward. We're very proud of you, Allison. The word proud hit me like a physical blow. Proud. Now. After everything, I took a breath, keeping my voice steady. How did you even know I'd be here? We saw the Vogue article online this morning, my mom said, and I could hear the forced casualness in her voice. They did a preview of the emerging designers to watch, and you were featured. They mentioned your name, and the expo. We had to come support you. Support. That word almost made me laugh. I could feel Natalie and Ellen moving closer, flanking me protectively. Allison, my dad said, stepping closer, his voice taking on that reasonable, let's be adults tone I'd heard my entire life. We know things have been difficult, but we're family. We want to be part of this. Part of your success. That's when I felt it. The anger. It came roaring back, white-hot and unstoppable, fueled by every dismissive comment, every mocking laugh. Every time they'd made me feel worthless. Part of this, I repeated, my voice low and controlled. You want to be part of this. Where were you when I was 16 and won my first contest? Where were you when I was working 3 jobs to pay for school? Where were you every single time I needed someone to believe in me? My mom's face tightened. Allison, we were trying to protect you. No. I cut her off, my voice sharp. You were trying to control me. You wanted me to fit into your idea of success, and when I wouldn't, you tried to break me. You called me childish. You called me unrealistic. And last week you called me a leech. My mom went pale. People around us were starting to notice. I could see phones turning in our direction, cameras still rolling from the show. So here's what's going to happen, I continued, my voice steady and cold. You're going to leave. You're not going to take credit for this. You're not going to tell people you always believed in me. You're not going to post about this on social media like your proud parents who supported their daughter's dreams. Because we both know that's a lie. Allison, you're being unreasonable, my dad said, his voice hardening. We're your family. We've always been there for you. No, you haven't. You've been there for Victoria. You've been there for Marcus. But me. You've spent 26 years telling me I wasn't good enough. That my dreams were stupid. That I was wasting my life. I raised my voice slightly, just enough for the lingering crowd to hear. So I'll ask one more time. Who's the leech now? The silence was deafening. Victoria's face flushed red. Marcus couldn't look at me. My parents stood there, frozen, humiliated, as I turned and walked away. Natalie and Ellen flanked me immediately. Ellen squeezed my arm. Well done, she whispered. Natalie was grinning fiercely. That was the most badass thing I've ever seen. We walked out of the museum into the warm Miami night, and I finally let myself breathe. Really breathe. Behind us, I could hear my family arguing in hushed, angry voices. But I didn't look back. I didn't need to. That chapter of my life was over. I thought that was the end of it. I really did. I thought I'd said what I needed to say, and they'd finally get the message and leave me alone. I was wrong. Natalie had texted Allie, check Victoria's Facebook, now. A long, carefully worded essay about how heartbroken she was that her little sister had changed and let fame go to her head. The post was a masterclass in manipulation. Our family has always been so close, and we've always supported each other's dreams, even when they seemed impossible. When Allie told us she wanted to be a fashion designer, we were worried not because we didn't believe in her, but because we know how brutal that industry can be. We wanted to protect her from disappointment. We celebrated every small victory. We were there for her during the hard times. We're her family. So it absolutely crushed us when at her fashion show, which we drove 2 hours to attend to support her, she publicly humiliated us in front of hundreds of people. She accused us of terrible things that simply aren't true. She's changed. Success has changed her. And I don't recognize my little sister anymore. I'm sharing this not to attack her, but because I'm worried about her. Pride comes before a fall, and I hope she realizes what she's losing before it's too late. Family is everything. I just hope she remembers that. Over 500 comments. Success changes people. So sad to see. You guys sound like you were just trying to help. Made them look like the supportive family, and me like the villain. Natalie called immediately. Allie, I'm coming over. Don't respond yet. Let me get there first. She arrived 20 minutes later with coffee and murder in her eyes. Okay, deep breath. What do you want to do? I want to burn her entire life down. But let's think strategically. You could respond publicly and set the record straight, or... She pulled out her laptop. We let the internet do its thing. What do you mean, journalists? Someone recorded your confrontation. I guarantee it. She was right. Within an hour of Victoria's post, people started commenting with a different narrative. Wait, I was at that expo. This isn't what happened. The family showed up uninvited and tried to take credit for her success. Her mom literally called her a leech at dinner the week before. Multiple people know about this. Then the fashion bloggers started covering it. 6 months later, I was standing on a stage at the CFDA Fashion Awards in New York City, holding a trophy for Emerging Designer of the Year. The glass award caught the stage lights, sending prisms across the audience. The room was filled with people I'd admired my entire life. Anna Wintour was in the front row, Vera Wang, Marc Jacobs, Tom Ford. These weren't just fashion icons, they were the people who'd made me believe this was possible. My collection had sold out on Nordstrom's website in under 45 minutes. Not hours, minutes. They'd had to do a second production run. I had 3 more contracts in the works, one with a major department store in Europe, another with a luxury boutique chain, and a collaboration with a sustainable fabric company. In my acceptance speech, I thanked Ellen. I talked about how she'd seen something in me when I didn't see it in myself. How she'd pushed me to be bold instead of safe. I thanked Natalie. I talked about friendship, about having someone who believes in you unconditionally, about building your own family when the one you're born into fails you. I thanked the people who'd supported me, my former professors, the small boutiques that carried my early work, Mrs. Chen from the fabric store who'd given a scared 16-year-old girl a discount because she believed in her dream. I didn't mention my family, not once. When I walked off stage, a journalist from WWD asked me about it. Your family wasn't in your speech. Are you not close with them? I smiled politely. I prefer to thank the people who were actually part of my journey. That quote made headlines. Afterward, at the after-party held at some impossibly chic venue in Soho, Natalie handed me a glass of champagne. How does it feel? She asked. I looked around the room at the life I'd built, the dream I'd refused to let die, the success I'd earned entirely on my own terms. Honestly, it feels like I finally proved them wrong. She shook. So if you're listening to this, and you're in a place where the people who are supposed to love you are tearing you down, hear me. You don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. You don't need them to believe in your dream for it to be real. I spent 26 years trying to make my family proud, and you know what I learned? The people who truly love you don't make you earn their pride. They give it freely. They celebrate your wins, no matter how small. They believe in you, especially when you don't believe in yourself. And the people who don't, they're not worth your time, your energy, or your tears. Not even if they share your DNA. Guard what you've earned. Protect your peace. Set boundaries, and don't feel guilty about it. And never, ever let anyone make you feel small for dreaming big. Because the people who call you a leech today will be the same ones trying to claim credit tomorrow, and by then, you'll be too busy living your dream to care. Success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about waking up every morning and choosing to believe in yourself, even when no one else does. It's about putting in the work when nobody's watching. It's about holding on to your vision when everyone tells you to be realistic. And when you finally make it, when that moment comes, and you re-standing in the life you built with your own 2 hands, you'll realize that their approval never mattered. Because you already had the only approval you needed, your own. My name is Allison Brooks. I'm a fashion designer. I'm a CFDA award winner. I have a studio in Miami, and contracts with some of the biggest names in retail. And I am not a leech. I'm a success story. I'm proof that you can build a life that's entirely your own, on your own terms, fueled by nothing but passion and perseverance. And if I can do it, so can you. Don't let anyone dim your light. Don't let anyone convince you that your dreams are too big, or too unrealistic, or too anything. Dream bigger, work harder. And when they finally see what you've built, don't let them in. Because they don't deserve a seat at the table you built by yourself. You've got this. I promise.